Hey everyone, it's Scott and Isa, and we're here today because we've been pretty quiet the last few weeks. We've had a lot going on in our garden, and we're here to show you all that we've done over the, what, 2 weeks now?
2 weeks now, yeah.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, there's some things you might not want to miss. Morning, welcome back, Scott and Isa, Outdoor Living. So today we're going to be filling up our garden beds. Isabelle's already laid down the black paper in the bottom of these ones. In our other bed here, we're going to use cardboard. And then on top of that, we're going to start layering. We've got a bunch of wood here that I cut up. We're going to throw it down. We're going to start in layers. Throw some wood down and then some smaller branches on top, and then eventually it'll be the compost on the top. This will save money because you're not filling the bed completely up with compost right off the bat, and it'll also be good for it because this will break down in a couple years. So even though it's big, it will break down. This morning I was out cutting this up, making sure there's no buds or new growth on here, because the worst thing that could happen, well, for me in my mind, would be these trees springing up all over in there. So you want to make sure the wood is quite dead, so we're not chasing weeds all summer. So, or weeds, trees, because they are a bugger once they get rooted. So that's where we are now, and we'll just start filling these up.
So this bed here is the bone manure, the bone compost. This one here is the cow manure compost, and this one is the sheep compost. And the reason why we didn't mix them is because we want to see really which way we prefer to amend our beds in the fall. Like, we'll see according to how our vegetables are going to grow this summer. So we really wanted to make this thing different compost in each bin so that we could really see which one is best for us. So we're still gonna have to add some more in here, some compost and some dirt, because with the water it's gonna flatten down a bit more, and then we'll have to fill this one as well.
Alright, so now we're at our first garden bed where we're gonna put our tomatoes. We have a trench made. I'm gonna add some bone meal. It's high in calcium and nitrogen. It's gonna help give them the kickstart that it needs, and then the calcium will help hopefully prevent or blossom end rot. We've had a lot of success with this CIL bone meal. I get the bone meal and the blood meal mixed up because we have two for two different applications. But this one, for our tomatoes, we're using the bone meal, and we have really good results with this. So I'm just going to take some and give it a generous amount in the trench. And then when we come in with the tomatoes, we'll put the tomato plants in here, and we will mix it up with the dirt, or with some nice healthy soil and this compost mixture.
We're planting the tomatoes right now, and I just wanted to show you how important it is to plant them as far as possible in the dirt. Let's see here. So these were the baby leaves. They were the first ones that came out. We can simply pinch them off. Then we'll bring the dirt up to here. And what that does is that all those little hair that you see on this stem over here, can you see? All those little hairs, they're there, and what they'll do is they'll create roots. So even if you didn't have a tutor for your tomato plants, if they were to just lay down on the dirt, they would create roots all the way along the stems, and you would still have your tomatoes. It's just they would grow on the ground, and they would be more prone to diseases or insects getting in them. By growing them up like this, if you bring it to here, what it will do is it will create roots, which will make your plants stronger, so less chances of breaking when the wind will hit this summer. And also it will make a bigger stalk, so it's going to be able to hold your tomatoes better. If you were to have a leggy plant, what you would do is you would lay it down in the dirt when planting it like this and just bring it up a bit, and you would bring the dirt, like you could take off quite a few branches. As long as you have some of the leaves at the top, you can take off quite a bit of leaves at the bottom, so that it creates more roots rather than having a leggy plant that won't produce that much.
Alright, so while Isabelle's doing the planting the tomatoes, I'm just going to take a moment and show you guys the trellises that we put in our garden. I've had a few questions on the trellises and even the arches, so I'll just walk you through. Real simple. For the most part, this year we used a T-post, and just with a driver, just pound them in the ground. And then we have this hog fence, I believe they call it. It's relatively flexible but sturdy. It's quite sturdy, so we had some of that donated, which is fantastic. Thanks, Chris. And oddly enough, I didn't really realize that when we're putting them in, most of these wires coming across lined up with the holes, so I got pretty lucky. It was real simple. I used my sawzall to cut it because it is quite tough. I can't just use my pliers. So we have 3 of those panels here. One here we'll put the tomatoes. The one where Isabelle is planting, and then one right behind it. Alright, so this here is the trellis that we made this year. We're going to be growing cucumbers. Yes, the one end is in with the tomatoes. We're not going to plant the cucumbers in the same bed with the tomatoes. We'll plant them over on this side with our brassicas. We planted some brassicas inside here, and we threw a shade cloth on them. Also, it'll help prevent bugs from attacking them. And all we did is I had some metal pipe, and I just pounded them in the ground with the same applicator we used to put the T-posts in. And then we have this 3/4 inch pipe here, and we just put them in the middle and fit perfectly in these tubes that I have. Then we just attach them with a little bit of wire just to hold them, and there it is. We could have put them right here on the wood, but we wanted to give it some space in between the fence and the wood so that we can plant right here. It'll give us more room in the garden over here for our brassicas, and it'll make it easier just to pull them out when the season's done. We don't have to worry about climbing in the other side there, although it's not very far. It'll just make it really easy right here to deal with. So here is our arch that we built last year, quite similar to the one that I just showed you, except we attached this one directly to the box. Same thing, we just used these aluminum tubes. I found these in the garbage. Somebody had thrown out a complete tempo, those little temporary shelters that you use to cover your car when we get a whole bunch of snow. Well, I found a whole bunch of those tubes. I picked them up. I don't know why I picked them up. Held on to them for a few years anyway. Finally found a use for them. So that's the same thing, 3/4 inch PVC pipe that we're able to bend and cut to fit, and then just with a snow fence. So up here in Canada, everybody knows we got snow fences, and this works perfect for our beans. So that's all it is. And then because it is a kind of a flimsy snow fence, I just took a tutor here that you get at the garden store for your tomatoes, fed it in through the top, and it holds everything somewhat straight. So last year we had an awesome harvest off of here, and we're kind of expecting the same this year. Hopefully it all goes good. So there you have it. That's our trellises. Not really complicated, didn't overthink, just something for the plants to grow up.